everybody, and welcome to A Case of the Jills. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Jill Colangelo. I am a master's degree student in the field of psychology. I am also a researcher. I am also a health coach, and I answer people's questions about hypothalamic amenorrhea, overtraining syndrome, and all related topics with an emphasis, of course, on mental health. If you watch this video today and you enjoy it, please give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe. I am trying to remind myself to say that in 2021. Today on this channel, we're going to be talking about something that is something that people don't really like to admit. And I understand because I've been there, so that's why we're going to dive into it today. Today we're going to be talking about 6 things that you don't want to hear about when we are discussing recovery from overtraining syndrome and, of course, hypothalamic amenorrhea. Okay, so here's how this starts out. If you're watching this channel, chances are it has come to your attention that there is something wrong about your relationship to exercise and potentially nutrition. You may be headed toward overtraining syndrome, you may have not gotten a period in a while, and so you have researched and you have found me. You might watch a few videos, you might read a few websites, and all of a sudden it becomes clear. Then you become kind of eager, you're excited, you're ready to take on the challenge. You want to make the lifestyle changes necessary to get healthy. Then all of a sudden, somewhere along the way, you either read something or you hear something on one of my videos or maybe somebody else's, and all of a sudden you go, no, that's not for me. No, I'm not going to have to do that to recover. That's not something I'm interested in doing. Oh, that thing over there? Yeah, no. Unfortunately, most of those things that people push back on the hardest are the things that are kind of inevitable in the process of recovering from either HA or OTS. Now listen, I want you to be successful at this process of recovery. Otherwise, I wouldn't be on YouTube for as many years as I have been. So I thought I would go through these because I see you and you are absolutely not alone. But Auntie Jill is not going to let you BS yourself. We have got to discuss these things so that you can really understand what is necessary for recovery. I want you to be prepared. I want you to face it so you can move on. Are you ready to do this? Let's go. I think I'm getting hot now. Okay, the first thing you don't want to hear about when it's time to think about recovery from HA or OTS is number 1, human beings actually do have limits. It may be romantic to consider a world in which the realities of physiology do not apply. I would also like to forget about physics, chemistry, my endocrine system. Unfortunately, that is not our reality. That is not what you should be expecting. There is no such thing as no limits. Despite what you may have seen on 1,000,001 t-shirts, the human body does not work on marketing messages. And by the way, those t-shirts are designed to sell you something. They're not designed to tell you the truth about your body. Can you imagine a marketing message for the endocrine system? Push me sometimes, but not chronically. And maybe I won't be terrible to you sometimes. Yeah, that doesn't sound so good on a t-shirt. In my time as an athlete, I've seen some very interesting things that people say about whether or not their physical body has limits. The more it hurts, the stronger you're getting. Ooh, not all the time. That which doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Not so much. Oh, and here's another favorite one from my world of ultra running. Unless you are bleeding, vomiting, or unconscious, you should keep going. Being real, I know that sometimes people come up with these slogans or they come up with these mantras because they help them push past a limitation that is probably not serious. So if someone is really looking to get off the couch and go for a run and they need help in that area, they might kind of push themselves in this way to motivate themselves. But if you're watching this channel, the last thing you need is more motivation and more reason to push yourself. What you have to understand is that the realities of physiology dictate that the human body does have limits. And when you bang up against those limits, you're going to be in trouble. If you actually acknowledge and respect those limits, you are not going to bang into them. And you as an athlete will potentially stay healthier for a longer period of time. So embrace your limitations. Do not try to say that you don't have them. That's a recipe for disaster. The second thing that nobody wants to hear about when it comes time for recovery is that body changes are going to happen. The body changes that are going to happen are really going to be depending on where you are starting. If you are, let's say, a bodybuilder or a CrossFitter, someone who has an enormous amount of muscle mass, chances are you might find that going through recovery for overtraining syndrome or hypothalamic amenorrhea means that you will probably lose muscle mass. You'll probably lose body weight. You may gain body fat. If you are a runner or a figure skater or a ballet dancer or someone who is a chronic undereater, you're probably going to be looking at weight gain and probably fat gain. Now listen, these are some of the aesthetic things that you can expect to change in your body, but there are some non-aesthetic things that will change as well. Because you are going to need to take a significant amount of time to rest, you will in fact detrain. I have a video on this channel about the benefits of detraining, but suffice it to say that the time you spend detraining is actually a time that you are spending healing. However, in that time, you can experience things like strength loss, your cardiovascular fitness and your endurance will probably decrease. When people try to resist these changes, whether aesthetic or not, is when they struggle the most in recovery. I get emails all the time from people telling me that they don't want to lose their progress, yet they want to recover at the same time. Listen, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Those two things cannot coexist. You will lose some of your fitness, you will lose some of your muscle mass as you are going through recovery. It's just a fact. If this stuff was easy to hear, I wouldn't be making this video. The third thing that nobody wants to hear in recovery is you may not go back to your previous activity level or intensity, but it may not be for the reason you think. I would be lying to you if I told you that it was 100% guaranteed that you were going to go exactly back to the place where you were training at your highest volume and intensity, yet you were starting to suffer from overtraining syndrome or you had lost your period. I cannot tell you that you can do that without jeopardizing your recovery. However, and this is the part that you don't want to hear, is that even if that were possible, you may not want to. You may find that taking a step back in your training may offer you the opportunity to explore other aspects of your life that you've been neglecting. You may find that you're able to gain better perspective on your habits and what goals you have for yourself. Not everyone, but some people at the beginning part of recovery feel that they have been oppressed by their habits. They feel very addicted to their sport, they feel addicted to the training, and they feel very oppressed by some of the dietary choices that they have been making. Sometimes once people take a step back, they're like, oh my God, how did I go that long doing that to myself? And the second thought is, oh man, I don't want to go back there. Sometimes in recovery, we open the opportunity up for other things in our lives. Some people will talk about the opportunity to go back to school, take some classes, further their education. Some people have kids, and of course that changes everything. Some people talk about taking up a hobby or completing a goal that they had had for a really long time but just didn't have the time or the wherewithal to pursue. Some people want to spend more time fortifying the relationships that they may have set aside while they were really focused on training. And lastly, you may just find that you're over it and really don't want to go back to that lifestyle anymore. You don't need to justify or explain any of your reasons for not wanting to go back, by the way. We all grow and we all change, and forward progress might not always look exactly like what we thought it was going to. The one thing I will say is that it's really important that you don't put pressure on yourself to go back to do anything that you used to do before and simply may not want to do now. Don't judge a past version of yourself when the present version just wants something different. What you choose to pursue athletically or otherwise is absolutely your choice in recovery and beyond. The number 4 thing that no one wants to hear in recovery is if you do not address your mental health issues, you will really struggle in making forward progress. Sometimes when I talk to people, it's really funny. When I talk to clients on the phone, they'll ask me all these practical questions. They ask me what they should be eating, how much, how often. They want to know how much they should be training. They want to know how many hours per week. They want numbers of everything, and they are writing things down. They're ready to put a plan in action. Checking all those boxes, though, isn't going to help you when you are struggling to understand why you are here. When we start getting into the why is when some people start to get a little uncomfortable. It's not enough to say that you train too much and you don't eat enough. We have to know why you have fallen into those habits. When people push back, that's when they like to say things like, no, I just really like to run a lot. Or they'll say, no, I just really like the feeling of being empty in my stomach. Or they'll say like, training is my therapy. No, I just need it. No, this is just me. This is just who I am. Anytime someone is like reluctant to start talking about their why for things, that's when they're gonna have an issue. We have to know why you don't wanna let go of training. We have to know if this is your coping mechanism, what are you coping with? Why are you assigning your value to a sport? Or why are you assigning your value to what your body looks like? What does this sport say about you that you cannot say for yourself? And of course, my all-time favorite, what are you running away from? People who ignore this line of questioning can take all the practical steps they want, but when push comes to shove, if they're unable to unearth the reasons why they got where they are, they are likely to slide backwards. They are likely to possibly start making bad choices again. And yes, they are likely to end up in this place that we like to call quasi-recovery, where you may have gotten your period back, but everything else is still out of whack. Or maybe you are still suffering with overtraining symptoms, but you can't get yourself to stop training long enough to heal fully. Either way, the mental health component is something that absolutely cannot be ignored in the journey to recovery. And the number 5 thing that nobody wants to talk about is the fact that there is never going to be a time where you don't have to think about your training and nutrition choices. Once you've gone down the path of overtraining syndrome, or you have lost your period for any length of time, you will notice that your ceiling is lower. You've heard me say this all the time. You're going to be much more vulnerable to fluctuations in your training volume and intensity and your nutrition. You are going to be much more sensitive to things like physical stress, mental stress. You can no longer just wing it. Sorry. Even today, almost 5 years post-recovery, I still pay attention to the amount of activity that I'm doing and the quality of my diet. It's certainly habit now to just tick the box and say, okay, starchy carbs today, yes, absolutely. It is also a habit for me to think about how much movement and activity I'm doing across a day. I have a very good sense 5 years later of how much I can push myself and how much I absolutely do not want to push myself. But make no mistake, I still stay on top of it. And you don't have to believe me. If you ignore this, your body will tell you. Overtraining symptoms will come back with a vengeance. Your period cycle will get longer, you may get massive PMS, and guess what? You may lose your period again altogether. So here's the thing, you can feel negative about this, or you can consider it a gift. It's a benefit. It's kind of like a little warning system. It's a helpful reminder for you not to be an idiot again. I know that's how I view it. And finally, for today, the last thing that nobody wants to hear about when thinking about HA or OTS recovery is no one can do this for you. I don't mean to say you're on your own. That's absolutely not true. You're absolutely not alone. That's why you're here watching this channel. But you are fully responsible to make the right choices to support recovery. Just you. That may mean doing things differently than other people. It means that you may have to make different choices with regard to your training and your nutrition than other people around you. It means being a savvy consumer of fitness and training and nutrition information. I have a video on this channel that talks about the media and what a mess it can be to navigate for people like us. You cannot blame your team or your coach or your training partners for your actions. And if you are looking for all these sources out there to tell you only what you want to hear about recovery, yeah, I would think about that. If someone makes you think that recovery is easy or there's some kind of trick or a hack, question it. And you need to stop throwing pity parties, pointing fingers at all the different healthcare practitioners that haven't given you the information that you need. Basically what you're saying is they're not giving you the answer that you want to hear. Let me clear it up for you. You don't get a period because yes, you are under eating, and yes, you are training too much. You don't need a consortium of physicians and a conference of the American Medical Association, okay? You know. That's why you're watching this channel. Now you have to back it up with action. Eat, rest, figure out who you want to be in this world. Ooh, this may have been a tough one today. I hope that this video made you think a little bit. And I hope you know that I absolutely thought, did, said, probably complained about every single one of the things on this list. That's why I'm so good at writing these lists, because I am these lists. I am you. I've been there. Listen, I know the world's a little crazy right now, so I hope that you are doing the best you can to take care of yourself and the people around you. If you liked this video, again, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. You can schedule a mentoring call with me through the links below in the description box. I hope you're having a better week wherever you are, and I will see you again soon. Thank you for watching.